Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is Alicia Gogan, the host of the Globe Secrets podcast, where I help you expand your mind and become more self-aware so that you can glow up into the best version of yourself. Hello, how are we doing? I already know you guys are going to ask. This hoodie is from Abercrombie. I just got it. Camo hoodie. It's fire, okay? It is so comfortable. Obviously, it looks immaculate. You guys know I love me a good hoodie, okay? And we are inching into the fall time, which means this is basically all you're going to see, okay? But listen, I highly recommend this sweater, and I will have a link down below. Okay, so I was thinking, as I always do, every single day, all day, about everything. I was thinking about how life seems to be testing a lot of us right now, which kind of coincides with Mercury retrograde, which I am honestly not super into astrology. I just believe in it because I'm a very spiritual person, and I feel when things are moving and energy is moving and things are different in the realm of life. I can just feel into it. And how it goes with astrology is I usually am feeling this like death and rebirth or this something happening. And then I always hear that it's like Mercury retrograde or like this thing or even the Lion's portal thing. Like before anyone was really talking about that and before I even knew about it, but before a lot of people were talking about that, there was some changes happening. Like I feel like I was right at the cusp of like feeling that. And then I started to feel into it. And I feel like a lot of people around me started to too. So anyways, life has definitely been testing me. I know it's been testing you guys, especially if you're listening to this right now. And recently people in my life as well. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how you can pass the test because we know this is just a test. Come on. If you guys have been listening to this podcast for even less than a year, you guys know it's a test, okay? But sometimes you need to be reminded of that. And I want to talk quickly about like a little story that even made me think about this. And I think it will help all of you guys, but even me, it helped me when I was thinking about this. So I have a friend who in her life, she has family members who don't really support her or believe in her, okay? And partly it's because of her past mistakes that she has made. She knows that and they have verbalized that. But at the end of the day, she is trying to get her life in order. But her family still looks at her like the same girl who can't be trusted, who is a failure, who is a loser, who is okay? And she was coming to me with an issue that she was having, and it was basically just the same issue. Her family was just looking at her like the old version of her, of who she used to be. And like I said, she knows this, and I know this, but I was basically giving her the advice of remember what is going on right here, okay? And I'm going to explain this the best that I can. And I have to kind of give you two examples because I know there's some people who are very logical and more spiritual, and I think I'm like equally both, okay? So logically, what's going on here is her family has these like preconceived beliefs and notions about her, which is based off of her past. It's real. It's happening. If you have to obviously respond to these things in certain ways, yes, like we're not talking about just, pretending like this doesn't exist, okay? But spiritually, the way that I look at this situation and a lot of situations, even though some situations require you to be logical and to be rational, I always usually come to these types of conclusions of like, okay, what is the lesson? What's the spiritual like lesson from this? And I told her that it's not really your family. And yes, again, logically, yes, it is the family, okay? But they are just a physical representation of the essence and the spirit of the old version of her, okay? And I was trying to tell her, because she really wants people to respect her, to respect her boundaries, to have a better life, to have people show up in certain ways and this, that. And I said, the way that that's going to happen is if you stop responding to the old version of you, which is reflected in your current life right now in some sort of the way. Whatever thing you don't like is really just that reflection, okay? So if you want people to treat you better, if you want people to commit to you, if you want more money, if you want whatever, don't look at the current life circumstance that you're in the situations and say, I'm not getting what I want because people are still not treating me well, or I still haven't seen it show up, or this, that, and the third. Life is testing you right now. Life is literally, and this is what I told her too, like especially her, because she's had a lot of tests in her life. We get a lot of tests, even like if it's extreme or not, right? It's like, should I go to the gym or should I not go to the gym? Should I go out and get blackout drunk or should I stay in? Should I text the ex or not? Should I continue to spend money or should I get my life together? You know what I mean? Like there's tests always. But in her specific life, definitely it's so clear too that she's growing because there's so many tests that keep coming into her way. And I told her, the universe, God, whatever you want to believe in, this is what I believe, just like spiritually. In order for you to become that person who is respected, who has money, who has a good life, you need to act a new way, right? You need a whole new identity. Somebody who identifies as a smoker versus a non-smoker, they do different actions, okay? And so if you want new results in your life, you must become a new person. But the new version of you requires you to not respond the same way. And the way that you respond is looking at your current life circumstance and saying, this is literally just an old version of me shining through all people, places, and things right now. The treatment that I'm currently getting, the disrespect that's happening in my life, the inconsistency with certain things that I've been wanting to have, it really is all just a reflection. It doesn't have to maybe even be you. It could have been like other people playing a role in your life or this, that, and you don't have to get mad at yourself for it. We're not sitting here and playing the blame game, but at the end of the day, it's like, that's usually what happens, okay? My current reality sitting here on the podcast, living downtown Toronto, every single thing is a manifestation of the version of me who stepped into the identity of, I get what I want in my life. I'm a podcaster. I'm X, Y, and Z. And now my friend was really frustrated because this had been going on for so long, and she has been making progress to show these people that, you know, she is better and different and this, that. And I think that's when you're right at the tipping point of whether you're going to pass the test or not, is when you really start to get frustrated and you're like, why me? And it's, why is this happening again? And how? And da-da-da. Because I think that is really where you can get some power, and to use that power for something that's really, really good. I think this is the same thing as kind of like hitting rock bottom. Sometimes you really have great change when you hit rock bottom. Unfortunately, we don't really want that to happen, but most of us as human beings, we let it get to the point of rock bottom. And honestly, I will take back even we let it get. A lot of the times it's just so hard for you to like do every proper move so that you don't go to rock bottom. Like you're operating out of trauma. You have all of these like mini addictions to things. You have attachment styles. You also just have like real life that has nothing to do with trauma and like your interests and how you want to live in your life and your age and this, that. Like there's so many things going on that sometimes it's like the things that kind of blow up in your face. Sometimes it's like, damn, like maybe I saw that coming, but I didn't think it was going to happen like now. I thought maybe I was doing a good enough job, this, that. So like, just don't even get mad at yourself if these things are happening. But I do think that sometimes the best power, or like the most potent, I don't know, spiritualness, that's not the word, but whatever, usually happens around the times where you are really fed up and really annoyed and this, that. And I think that I always get really excited sometimes, like when I feel that, which is crazy. It's like, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but I've had many different like chronic illnesses and just really crappy circumstances in my life. And I will actually thrive off of being in rock bottom. So anyways, if you can, try and access some of that type of energy and use that to push you into doing the opposite of what you've been doing. Because I feel like a lot of the things in our life are just requiring us to respond basically the opposite. You eat like shit, eat better. You keep not going to the gym, go to the gym. You keep not waking up early, wake up early. You keep texting the ex, stop texting X, like those type of things. But sometimes you need so much energy to do that, so much like no-ness about what's been going on and boredom of what's been going on, that shitty circumstance, to be like, I'm going to respond in a completely different way. Now, what always helps me to respond in a new way, because it is hard, just like I said, to even have that motivation to really push yourself to do the opposite, even though you know what you need to do, like hold an actual boundary, or not getting triggered and being reactive to something that is, in your mind, yeah, I could react to this, or let me defend myself, or let me explain, or let me get mad because these people don't understand me and they keep disrespecting me. Or you could do the opposite. And why it's good to do that, and I've talked about this in last week's episode, so please go listen to that, because I talk about how everyone is your mirror. If you want people to respect you, you have to respect yourself first. You have to look at yourself like you are a respectable person, and you have to stop engaging in behaviors that allow people to keep disrespecting you. But you have to do that first. But what we usually do is we just cry about the fact that people are not respecting us, or not choosing us, or not committing. But it's like you have to look at your own actions and the way you've been playing a role and what is being reflected in your life. But the biggest thing probably that actually helps me be able to even respond differently is to go like radio silent, to slow things down, to come inwards. And honestly, that's what I've been doing the past like week and a half when it comes to people, when it comes to social media, when it comes to even like work things and like projects and to-dos. Like I have completely just sucked my energy back towards myself, because I know that this period of life, whatever's happening, there's a lot of things moving around. There's a lot of things that I want, and there's a lot of things that I don't want. And I know, because I've been talking about it, that there's things currently happening in my life that are asking me to either respond the same way or differently. And I already know the lesson of, no, I'm not going to respond the same way. And what helps though is to really spend that time with myself. And in order for me to really do all of that, I need some time to think. Okay. I feel like we live in a generation where everything is we're stimulated all the time. Even if you want to think that you're not the person that is stimulated and like constantly thinking about a million things and consuming things, no. Like even me, I do a good job at it, but still I'm stimulated all the time. I'm also just really interested in a lot of things all of the time, and I am working, like I have goals, I have things that I'm trying to do, okay? So I struggle with like chilling. I really do. It's never been a thing that I've done, like never. I know the importance of obviously taking a break and some time, but it's sometimes hard for people who are like that, because it's just really like you can't enjoy slowing down, because it's like it just doesn't compute in your head. Like it's not enjoyable. So why would I, you know what I mean? But what I have found joy in is when a external stimuli is requiring me to slow down. That is when I usually slow down, which is, it happens often. Honestly, it happens often because that's life. Whether it's Mercury retrograde or it's that time of the month, which I usually do with the time of the month. And all of that, I swear, just coming inwards and going like radio silent and giving yourself a second to just breathe, think about the situations or not, doesn't matter. I don't know. Like it doesn't even really matter what you do in this time, but like just go radio silent for a second. Know that you can respond. You can do everything that you need to do and you can get right back to it whenever you can. But just going radio silent really creates so much clarity and so much change for me. And I feel like sometimes we just think the way that we're going to have change is like us continuing to force it to happen, or like what's the next thing that I can do so I can make this thing work, or like what's the next thing, or what's the next goal, or what's the next whatever. But I have learned that it's really not about that. It's more about pulling your energy off of the things you're constantly ruminating on, the ideas that you've been having about things and how life needs to go, even just removing your energy from people and the things that you know that you've been observing that aren't serving you even at that moment or forever. Maybe that's something that needs to change completely. Being so incredibly done with situations where you just know you're just so bored. Like it's just boring. It's literally like, I feel like we're all very bored right now, and we're bored because it's the same situation that you keep playing out with people, and then it gets boring. And you want to turn that boredom into like some sort of like emotional, like, I don't know, even anger, or depending on what you're going through, anger or just doneness, I don't know. And use that to pull yourself back for a second, put that energy towards yourself, really reevaluate what you've been doing in the cycles that you have been going in. Remind yourself that you can come right back to the stimulation, to the boring story if you want, if you're really not ready to let that go, okay? Because sometimes we're not ready to let that like boring story go, which usually keeps you in the same cycle. But something that really helps me is like doing this, like, I'm going to bring my energy back to myself, but it's fine. Everything's going to be exactly where I left it. And really, I don't mind losing the boring things anyways. And that's another thing. I think you have to be really willing to walk away from certain situations or like certain patterns, which is why sometimes rock bottom works, because it like pushes you to walk away. But I also think that there's like some beauty truly, well, not some, there is a lot of beauty in moving through life like this, where, you're expanding some more energy and you're out into the world and you're experiencing things and you're even maybe responding to life, because you can be in reality. You don't have to always be spiritually aligned. But how I think about like ebbing and flowing through life is kind of the same way as like always getting ready every single day. You no longer kind of like look in the mirror like, oh, I look so amazing and beautiful. I mean, maybe you do, and you should no matter what, but I'm just saying in terms of like getting ready and like getting your best outfit on and like doing your hair and like everything like that. If you do it every single day, you're kind of like, okay, whatever. But if you are not somebody who regularly does that, but then here and there you do that, most of the time, at least for me, I really appreciate it more. I feel like I really look so good because I don't always do my hair, or I don't always wear that dress or something like that. But it also personally works for me in living my life, and maybe it doesn't for other people, but it works for me because I feel like I can replenish myself and I don't have to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I benefit from that. But then even as I go out into the world, let's say like an example of like getting ready, I also look and feel the absolute best because I've put my best work forward after coming inwards and kind of like working on myself, or like whatever. There's so many examples, right? Same thing can happen in relationships. If you spend every waking day with that man, listen, okay, actually, hold on. I'm going to do a disclaimer because I already know there's some girls who be spending every waking day with their man. Listen, you do you. If you're happy and you guys are thriving, I feel like there's definitely couples that just like really are meant to just always be together. I don't know. Whatever. Please don't take offense to this. But for me, the way I think and the way I've experienced it, because I am me, okay? Not everyone is the same, but spending every day with the man loses something. It loses something for me personally. And I sometimes think it usually loses like something for a man too. I don't know. Same thing with content, posting every single day. You sometimes lose that oomph, whether like people like look at it as there's a loss, or even you, and I can bring that to my podcast. I'm pretty sure you guys would be happy if I posted like every day. I mean, some people would, I'm sure. So it's not really even that, but it's me, right? I won't be able to put the best podcast episodes out every single time. And sometimes that's fine. Sometimes like you have a career or you have a relationship or something that needs stability. I'm not talking about living every single thing out in life as very cyclical, but I do think that there is beauty and we thrive the best when we leave room for the ebbs and flows of life. And I look at it the way I look at, sometimes you need to be really logical. Sometimes there's just things that logic will not be able to explain about the world, but it happens, and you either can believe in it because you believe that there's some sort of higher power or there's like some spiritual thing, or you can use your logical mind to just play the victim role and say that there's just no causation, there's no logical explanation for this thing, so I just must be doomed and there's no answer, or this, that. Sometimes you actually need to believe in something bigger than what you see. Sometimes it just has to be like that. And I think that that's how you really grow and how you really prosper. And I have been somebody who used to be so analytical and so logical and to never really have belief in anything. And I got into a lot of ruts. I'm not saying that I didn't get to places where I needed to go with logic, but there were some things that I kept just going in circles because logic is not going to do it. So I really do believe if you're spiritual, if you believe like you have a religion or whatever, I think that everyone does some good with believing in something outside of themselves. Because if not, I do find that you kind of go into those spirals and those things. Anyways, I don't know if I told you guys this, but this is kind of like a think piece. It's not really even like, I don't even know really where I'm going with this, but this is just things that I was thinking about this weekend. And also coming back to sometimes life is testing you. I find when life is testing you, that's when you want to come back inwards instead of expanding that energy, instead of doing the same thing over and over. And I also think when you come back towards yourself and you replenish yourself and you just take a break from the same things that you've been ruminating over or the same damn cycle, okay? When you take a break, when you're ready to go back out, you're so aligned. Why? Because you've thought about what you want. You've replenished yourself, whether that's like literally like sleep or rest, when you do that before you get your period, things like that. Or even when it comes to like relationships, maybe you're walking away from something that doesn't serve you and you're coming back to yourself and you're really thinking about what do I want from a relationship? Because clearly what's happening over there is just not it. So usually we just get so incredibly like aligned if we spend the time, reflecting and taking it easy and not just suppressing emotions and stuff. We usually come out and you're so dead ass aligned. And that's usually when, especially like post breakup, when you feel really good about yourself, it's because you just came out of that like thinking about what you want, and then you usually find somebody. That tends to happen. I don't know. That's happened with me many, many, many times. But anyways, another thing that is important to do during times where life is trying to test you, when you're bringing your energy towards yourself, is to work on any sort of anger or sadness or even happiness, honestly, jealousy, comparison, all of those things, okay? And create space for them, because I feel like a lot of the things that usually play out in our lives are from the result of repressed emotions. And we're always repressing something. I mean, unless you like do real like deep emotional release practices like day after day and stuff like that, which I don't think is always necessary, you probably have been repressing something. And bringing it back to my friend, something that I even told her was like, you know what, instead of responding to the old version of you that your family is just kind of like mirroring to you right now, because it's like, what's the point? But there might actually be hurt, there might be anger, there might be frustration of people not listening or loving you or respecting you or showing up for you. Take that emotion that you would really be not directing in the right energy of like them, getting mad at them, bring it to pen and paper or out loud, go to therapy if you need to, this, that, but I usually just journal and write that out. Like process that emotion. Allow room for frustration and anger and comparison and jealousy and all of those things before you go right to, I can't compare myself. I shouldn't feel jealous. I want to think good thoughts about these people. I want, all the positive things that you want to do. Yes, we can do all that, but like first process those emotions, because honestly, the things that are not happening in your life that you want to be happening, there are definitely emotions that they're eliciting right now. So you might as well process them, because you're just going to be kind of weighing them down. And I think that also really helps you get aligned. And when you're ready to kind of like get your energy back and go into the world or like do something new or different than what you've been doing, you get really aligned because you have released your emotions. You're not moving out of the same person that you were before, and you're really clear about where you want to put your energy and your time with people, places, and things. And sometimes you just need time with yourself. So in order to pass the test, you need to understand that everything is just your mirror, and there's no point on responding the same way to the same things. If you want a new result, which is what you want, aka you want to pass the test because you know what it means to pass the test, it means a new level. It means something new in your life, okay? That's why you want to pass the test. So in order to do that, you need to become a new version of you. Bring your energy towards yourself. Stay silent. I'm pretty sure somebody said this on TikTok, actually, now that I'm thinking about this. Somebody was talking about Mercury retrograde. I didn't really even listen to the whole thing, but they just like started off by like saying like, you see me, the way that I act. Oh, by the way, I'm going to like put this little trend in. During Mercury retrograde, I become silent. I'm very demure, very mindful. Okay. So you guys need to be silent, radioactive silent, and it's going to look different for everyone. What do I mean by silence? I don't know. It depends on what you are going through. Okay. Maybe it's removing yourself from places that literally keep you in the same position. Okay. Maybe it is a new routine. Maybe it is no longer triple million thousand texting a man who clearly doesn't want to commit to you. Okay. Let it go. Stop answering the phone. Let it go, please. Like, we're bored. Be bored. So bored. Please be so bored. Be so bored of people who are either gossiping or like doing the same thing. You know those ones? You know those friends who just remind you that you are your age and they are not? And like, no real shade because everyone's like stuck in their ways and this, that. But sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you need to just, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm good. Okay. You just need to be very demure, very mindful. Take it slow, take a break. I'm taking a break kind of right now, even though I'm literally on the podcast talking, but I'm just like posting this. I'm about to get my period. And when I get my period, I don't vlog. And I sometimes get an episode out, but usually not. I'm not even posting on my stories right now, just like whatever I need, which will be like promoting this and a few other things, but just keeping it very demure. Okay. And spending a lot of this time, like I said, with my emotions, because I feel like we really don't do that enough, guys. Like, I know we say we do, especially in the like the healing self-development stuff, but it's like, you know what we do? We do a lot of listening to other people talk about emotions, but actually being with ourselves, we do not actually do until you usually hit rock bottom and this, that, which, you know what? I don't think that you need to be like processing emotions all the time, but like maybe this is a good time for you to actually do that. That is a great thing to do. And I'm also making some big decisions in my life, and it needs a lot of room for me to think clearly. So that's what I'm doing right now. And what else am I doing? I'm making time for things that interest me right now without any like guilt or being like, oh my gosh, like I need to do something with this, or I don't know, you know, just giving yourself space is the best thing that you can do. And the opposite of not doing that, guys, because if you are having a part of you that's like, oh my God, no, I can't slow down, please just sit down and analyze how much time you waste trying to always be on. Okay. You're not as productive as you think. You really aren't. So let's use our brains because we can and we are smart, and say goodbye to constantly burning yourself out doing the same thing over and over again and only like 10% of that actually being productive, okay? You might as well replenish your nervous system and your entire life and stop expanding stupid energy with stupid people and come towards yourself and then get more aligned. You know what I mean? I hope this episode made sense. I'm pretty sure in some capacity it did. Please let me know what you want to hear next. I do still have, like I've been saying, I feel like I'm a broken record, but I do have a few more episodes, but it requires me to not be almost getting my period. It requires me to be more my logical thinking brain and like ready to go motivation and like da-da-da-da. I really do want to talk about productivity and ADHD. And I was going to title it something that I forget now, but whatever. So it is coming, but it does, well, I mean, my logical mind wants to be very logical about it. I don't know. It's interesting. Like there's certain topics, I guess this is just a side note now, I'm just talking, but there's certain topics with my podcast where like I register it as like it's going to need to be the logical version of me, or it's going to need to be like the more spiritual, like laid back version of me. And I don't even plan it that way. It's just like as soon as I have an idea, it's either going into one of those categories. And then depending on where I'm at, I can speak on it right away. Like sometimes I get those like logical ones in my mind that I register out right away because I'm in that energy. But if I'm in the like, I don't know, spiritual-ish type of whatever flow. And I have that idea. I'm like, can't do it. We're not going to do it, because what I will do usually is I will just be feeling so much resistance, which would make sense because my body naturally just wants to be flowing. Okay. My body is just naturally just wanting to like be more of that spiritual side of me. And then if I try and force myself to talk about something or do something that I don't really feel like doing in that moment, I will sabotage it. And yes, we have to do things we don't like. And I've been really good at like trying to like baseline myself into like making sure that I do the things that I need to do. And I'm pretty good at that being an entrepreneur, but especially being an entrepreneur, you definitely have more pockets where you could be like, nah, I'm not going to do it because I don't feel like it. So you have to be careful. But then also the beauty of this job is that you have room to do that. And if you, in my opinion, kind of do it correctly by understanding yourself, you can create some beautiful things. And that's a journey. And I'm on that journey right now. So anyways, that's it. I am done. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for over 30,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. That is crazy, but I mean, we knew it was coming, didn't we? Also, for anyone who is new and you might be wondering why I have this plaque on here, it is from my first YouTube channel that I made. And I basically just post vlogs and stuff. So if you guys are interested, also, I've been talking a lot about gut health and like healthy living and stuff. You can go subscribe to that channel. It'll be linked down below. Also, I'm pretty sure we hit probably at this point 1.4 million downloads on the audio side of things. If you are watching on YouTube, we have the podcast on audio and we're inching up to 1.5, and that's a lot. Okay. And the reason why I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm saying this. And we hit over 50,000 followers on Spotify alone. Okay. So we're hitting numbers. The reason why I'm saying that is because I need you guys to understand that there's that many people wanting and willing and trying to change their lives. That's a lot of people. Okay. And I'm proud of you guys. Like it makes me so happy to see, because I'm on the journey. Yes. But also, I don't know. It's like something about like my younger self. It's not that I like, oh, I see my younger self in all you guys, because some of you guys are literally older than me. Some of you are wiser than me, okay? Some of you are just like, you guys are, it's just incredible. But, you know, some parts of you guys, I guess, remind me of the young version of me. And I look at the young version of me and I'm very proud of her. Like, that girl was doing things that a lot of people were not doing, okay? Mainly because I had to grow up very fast, but that's my story. And I just like look at you guys like that as well. Like, I know the journey of working on yourself and glowing up and healing depending on your life circumstance. It can be lonely sometimes. It can be isolating. It can be, if you guys are relating to the things that I'm talking about, it can be hard because you're battling with things, you're in cycles, you're so self-aware, you're so sensitive, you're so intellectual, you're so interested in things, you have so many goals, like there's so many things that I know, like that's how I live my life. So I just like, I have empathy, I guess, but I'm also like really proud because at the end of the day, we are the people who are willing to do the work and willing to just learn and grow. And I think that that is a really good indicator of somebody who is actually very healthy and somebody who is thriving and somebody who can do a lot in this world, which I think a lot of people need to hear that, including me, because I feel like we fall on the side of always thinking that there's something wrong with us and we have to fix it, or there's something wrong and we're trying to fix it, because that's kind of like what people do who are like seekers in a way. But then there's that part of you who's just a natural seeker, and I think that that's beautiful too. I think that yes, part of this can be because you have trauma and you're trying to heal and this, that, but for me, I don't know, it's a huge mix of like, yes, I'm interested in this work because I've needed to be, but I have a fascination with psychology and spirituality and the human condition, really. And I just don't ever see myself stopping being interested in that, because I've also even gone times where I wasn't so much deep into self-development or healing, and I still just like always found my way back and being interested in things. So that's it. Okay, thank you to everyone who's watching, subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.